Hi there, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Danielle Banda, and the Gladys Porter Zoo is a visitor-oriented zoological and botanical park dedicated to the preservation of nature through education, conservation, healthy outdoor recreation, and research. I am so happy because today joining us is Executive Director Patrick Birchfield to tell us all about everything going on. So thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. You got to tell us about the Gladys Porter Zoo and everything going on right now.
Okay, well, I'm going to let our visitors know, like our visitors, I'm wearing a mask to protect them, as well as our precious animal collection. But right now, there's no one within range, so I can remove my mask so that I can speak directly to you. But like every other business in the Rio Grande Valley and the nation, we're trying to deal the best way we can, but we have yet one more layer that other folks don't necessarily think about, and we also have to protect our precious animal collection, and that's what we're all about. Our zoo was the first zoo to be solely constructed to put together assurance or breeding groups of rare and endangered animals. And over time, we've been eminently successful in doing that. The zoo opened in September of 1971, but actually was under construction in 1968. And the reason I bring that up is that's a full 3 years before the United States Endangered Species Act came into existence. So the idea of a zoo specifically for putting together groups of rare and endangered animals that were becoming in danger of being extinct was pretty novel and pretty forward thinking in those times. This was also probably the first zoo to be built primarily with natural habitat exhibits as opposed to the old style zoo that people were used to seeing. So we've been on the cutting edge since the very beginning. And what I wanted to tell our zoo visitors that may or may not be aware of this fact, that the Gladys Porter Zoo, even though it's a 501c3 not-for-profit charity, ever since 1980, we have had to operate like a for-profit, and we generated over 90% of our income through our concessions, gift shop, memberships, and zoo visitors. So like every other business, we're wanting to keep the public absolutely safe, our zoo staff safe, and our precious animal collection safe, which is that third layer that other entities don't necessarily have to deal with. But as we get advice from city, county, and statewide health agencies, we've instituted some things here on the zoo grounds to try and ensure that your visit to the zoo is safe and fun for you and your family. You are required to have a mask on the zoo grounds. If you're out by yourself, since we're primarily an outdoor venue and there's no one else around and your family group's there, sure, you don't want to have a mask on your 3-year-old, 5-year-old, etc. But we also have monitors on our buildings like the Herpetarium, the Aquatic Center, the Australian building, to ensure that we're not over 25% capacity. And those monitors go back and forth to make sure that people are being safe and to help them be safe and help the other people around them. So we have done everything that we can to ensure that people are going to be safe to come to the zoo. And we want you to come to the zoo, absolutely. We are the largest, by virtue of the number of people that come here, conservation education facility in South Texas, period, bar none. And that's because we feel the obligation to provide conservation education as well as develop environmental stewardship for our young people growing up. It's all about the kids. Our generation has already done enough damage to the planet. We're hoping their generation is going to do better. And so what better way to learn about the environment than to come and have that first person encounter with animals. I like to say there's 3 levels of awareness. I can read facts off a printed sheet of paper. You can turn on Discovery Channel and see animals cavorting in full color and doing what they do. But when you come to the zoo and you look into the eyes of the gorilla and take a deep breath and smell gorilla, that's a whole different experience. Or when you get up close to the glass and you see how really big a tiger is, that's irreplaceable. And we've gone from, in the last 100 years, a rural society to a primarily urban society. And whereas 50 years ago, I would have told you the Gladys Porter Zoo's #1 mission was to breed endangered species for possible re-release to the wild at some time when it's safe for them to be there. Now I would tell you education and developing a good sense of environmental stewardship in our young people is the most important thing any zoo, aquarium, or park can do. And so that's what we're all about, is we provide, as you mentioned in your opening commentary, wholesome recreation for the whole family, and it's a wonderful opportunity to learn about the many wonderful creatures that inhabit our planet with us, and to help us in our efforts to try and preserve them for future generations.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, your team is working hard to ensure a safe experience for everyone. And that experience, as you mentioned, is educational, it's entertaining, it's fun for the whole family, friends, neighbors. I mean, we're talking about everyone, everyone being welcome. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about some of the features that we can look forward to.
Well, if you haven't been to the zoo in a while, we have phase 1 of the Wastaken exhibit with wonderful capuchin monkeys and the world's largest rodents, capybaras, in that exhibit. And it's also a kind of an anthropological, archaeological exhibit in that's patterned after a Wastaken temple from Veracruz, Mexico. We have our colobus monkey exhibit that's new. It's only about 8-9 months old now, and you can see actually colobus monkeys going over you on overhead into their large new spacious exhibit. Within the next few days, we hope to complete our new Otterbahn exhibit, where we have created water slides for our North American river otters. And if our viewers aren't aware, 100 years ago, the Rio Grande was a navigable river clear up to Roma, Texas, and it was full of beaver, otter, a whole variety of animals. And that's why we thought it would be interesting and exciting to bring otters for the first time, North American river otters, here to the Gladys Porter Zoo. And we've developed an exhibit I think is really going to be dynamic and people to get a big kick out of. And otters are always fun to watch. So we've got a lot going on. And in addition to that, we're working with our native local Palm Society. We're trying to enhance the botanical aspects of the zoo. We're going to do more plant labeling and develop a self-guided tour to the plants of the zoo. We hope to have that up and running within the next few months. So there's a lot going on at the zoo. And unlike some businesses, and I'm not putting anyone down, we're 24/7 because the animals require care and feeding and the like every day of the week, 365 days of the year. And incidentally, we're open 365 days of the year. We'd only been closed 2 days for hurricanes, 2 days in 50 years up until this pandemic. So this was a very new experience for us. But again, we've got a dedicated crew. They're dedicated to their animals. You will not find a more dedicated group of people that care about animals than people that work in zoos, because they're notoriously underpaid, but they do it because they love it and they care about the creatures that they take care of. And we want to engender that same kind of feeling with our public, to where this is their Gladys Porter Zoo, and we want them to help take ownership and help support us through this tough time as well. And there's a whole lot of ways you can support us, because as I alluded to earlier, up until the pandemic, we were over 90% self-sufficient by ticket sales, memberships, adopt an animal programs, etc. So anyone that is so inclined, please go to our website, www.gpz.org, and click on one of the links. You can help us if that's something that you would like to do, because like every other business, we're in tough times.
Absolutely, and I'm so glad that you mentioned your staff really striving to provide the best experience for viewers, but more importantly, your team is professional and passionate about caring for the animals, and I'm glad you also touched on how we can help. So before I give everyone your information one more time, can you just kind of give us a quick wrap up again? Gladys Porter Zoo, you're here for the animals, you're here for our experience, and just invite people to come on over and share any last thoughts that you may have.
Well, again, the Gladys Porter Zoo is your Gladys Porter Zoo, and we have one of the most outstanding animal collections in the world. And again, we're geared primarily toward conserving animals and educating the public to preserving those precious creatures. So we want to invite everyone to come out. We're doing everything to make your experience safe and enjoyable, and look forward to seeing you here at your Gladys Porter Zoo.
Thank you so much. Well, there you have it, the Gladys Porter Zoo, located at 500 East Ringgold Street in Brownsville. You can give them a call again at 956-546-7187. And of course, you can always log on to gpz.org. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
And everybody, help everyone else out. Wear your masks. Let's get this pandemic under control so we can go back to what we're used to living.
Absolutely. Thank you.